All right, good morning. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Let's go out and take a look at the upcoming challenge here that will launch on the 9th, this Thursday. Looking very much forward to it here. Want to talk about the little bit of or some of the differences here in the challenge. How kind of we've arrived to this point here with the challenge, and what my expectations are for it going forward. As many of you know, I my background, I traded, started in college for myself, just trading to get a little bit of extra income, just to get a little bit ahead. And had some fortunate opportunities where a buddy of mine, his father saw what I was doing and decided to say, hey, you know what, here you go, here's a chunk of change, a bigger chunk of change than I'd ever seen in my life, and allowed me to start working on fund managing. What do I do with it, trading it, all that type of stuff. Ultimately, back 2007, was able to kind of turn things into a fund. We had many different investors and grew it nicely, and did that for several years. Enjoyed it. Not something I would want to do again. Was very high stress, and especially the way we did it. But we had a really good run. We had a really good run, and we went out on top, and closed up and said, "All right, enough of that." Right, and my daughter was just starting to go to school and things like that, and it was nice to be able to just kind of stay home with her and with my wife, and have the time with the family, and kind of tinker and do what I wanted. From the time I stopped the fund, several of the fund investors, came to me and said, "Hey, can we still see your trades? We'd still love to see what you're doing from a trade standpoint." And I was very resistant. I was extremely resistant because, one of the worst things about the way we ran the fund is everybody could see what was happening to all of their trades in real time, right? So you know what? If something like this weekend happened, Monday morning my phone would be ringing. Oh, what do you think about there? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? Oh, should we hold this? Should we do? Hold on. You know what? I'm just gonna kind of digest it and see what happens. I'll make the decisions as I go forward, right? And keeping my time frame versus their time frame was a little bit of a difficult situation, and I did not miss that part at all. And I thought, man, if people are watching my trades, I'm just going to get that again. Right? I'm just going to get that element again and going to have to deal with that. And so, was very resistant and pushed it on back. And finally, one of them said, "Well, Jeff, you did this kind of challenge element in the fund, and you announced to us all that you were taking $3,000. Well, the first one was $5,000 of our fund, and you were just going to go real high risk and just go have fun with it. And as that grew, you'd do some more, and you ultimately turned that into over $100,000. Why don't you just maybe show us those types of trades that you do?" And I thought about it. I thought, okay, interesting, right? Interesting. And, just set up this little WordPress blog. And it's still out there. You can come to it here today. And, you just type in WordPress and Trader Minute. Boom, here it is. And, just started posting some thoughts and some different things here. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy here. And, you can see everything is here. You can go back history to the first one and everything else. And I started trading the challenge in here. Now, a little bit later, my brother came in to kind of compete with me. He did pretty well. And really just kind of sent out my trades via this context. And there were no real-time alerts and all that type of stuff, right? But it was such that I knew people were watching and were curious what I was jumping into and out of. And I'd put a little bit of explanation in. I'd just say, looking for a bounce around this level. Here's some of the indicators I'm looking at. Apple, Halliburton, gold miners. still trade the same stuff, right? I still trade the same stuff today, and put a lot of this in here. Then my brother, my youngest brother, he returned home. He had been living abroad for a little while, and he returned home. And he was curious what I was doing with this, and he said, "Well, here, let me see if we can do this." And he put together some of the technology to kind of send out real-time alerts and different things like that. And I looked at the community that was following my trades and said, "Hey, would you be interested in in making this a little bit more official, right? Not fund managing, just this challenge concept, and would you be on board with it?" And I explained to him, "Hey, there's some significant costs to make this happen, to really kind of get this underway and get this going, and it's something where there's going to have to be this isn't something I can do for free." And they all, "Yeah, hey, this sounds great. Let's do it." And some of you hear my voice right now, and you remember that. And so we got it up and going. It started out with a very basic WordPress website, and just really simple. Finally figured out, okay, you can stream some video, but the quality was very herky-jerky, and some of the technology wasn't quite there, and some of the technology that was there, we weren't quite aware of enough at that point. And we started Trader Minute in 2013. Started with the 100K challenge, and first three challenges. We had one go to zero, we had one double, and we had the other one end at about 3,000. So in about 9 months, just nowhere there with it. And at that point, I was kind of looking at it and said, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know if this is for me. I don't know that I want to do this." We had added a chat feature to where, in real time, people could ask questions and I could answer them. And I was only on chat a couple hours a day, so it wasn't too big of a deal. I was like, man, this is just getting a little too much. I mean, I didn't get in this to sit there and answer every little detail about a market that is so big and so complex. There's no way I know everything. And I found myself, researching and looking at stuff that I in the past never cared about, never wanted to know about, and it was taken away from some of the fun. And I said to my brother, I said, "Jason, this is my last one. If this doesn't go, and we don't get the ability to kind of bring in some other traders to kind of help out and to run the challenge, I'm done. This will be my last." And so started a challenge in March with that mindset, and really didn't get much traction off the board. Really started off slow. First 3 weeks, really slow, and then over the course of the next little while, went up to 49K. And along that way, there were a lot of tough moments in terms of some funky moves in the market, but overall paid off very nicely and got up to 49K. And we hit about the 4-month time period, and I said, okay, going to end it, going to close it here. And at that point, we had a good customer base, and at that point, it was, "Wow, Jeff, you're a genius." Some of the emails that came in, some of the comments that came in, very kind, very, very praiseworthy, man, I can't believe, you're able to do this. I can't believe you know so much about the market that you could do this. This is great. I can't wait to be here the rest of my life and to follow your trades. And, Jeff, you're my money tree, basically, right? And, I got on video at the start of the next challenge, and I remember saying, "Look, the last challenge is over. We went from 3K to 49K. Great. I may not make another successful trade in my whole life. And you know what's going to happen if I don't make a couple successful trades? I'm going to go from being this genius to an idiot, because that's the life of traders. That's how it goes. That's the way individual traders kind of feel about themselves. That's how they look at other traders. And that is just the reality of the situation." But no matter how much I downplayed it, it didn't change the fact that when I made the first trade and the alert went out and I looked at the volumes that came into that trade, they were a monster. They were huge. They were way more volume than how many people we had on the site. Much, much greater volume. If everybody on the site were following the trade, this volume was more than 10 times that. What happened? Well, we had people who said, well, 3K to 100K, forget that. I'm going 30K to a million. That's what they did. And the challenge didn't get off the ground. In fact, the challenge went to zero. The first trade did really well. After that, went a little sluggish and wasn't able to pull it out, and the challenge went to zero, just like any challenge, the risk has. At that point, I was now an idiot. At that point, the commentary in from some of the people who were very praiseworthy changed very, very quickly, and it didn't take too long to find out why. And to find out that many had kind of gone to this 30K, said, let me go 30K to a million, and, really felt like they just got completely wiped out. And I did a series of videos. Talked about it. I, discussed some of the elements and some of the risk factors there. But I remember at the time just kind of saying to myself, man, do I really want to do this? And I decided that, yeah, I did. I really wanted to do it because I love the concept. I love the idea. And I think it is a very nice addition to anybody's trading. But I also know, people will take it and do what they want with it, and I have to just be able to say, hey, you know what? That is what it is. I'll message the message that I message and, and go with it from there. But by the end of that year, by the end of 2014, I was tired. I was very tired, and I said, you know what? I have to step away for a little while, and brought in some good traders, Josh, Carl, John, brought in some very good traders to kind of come in and fill the gap and to go. And no matter what they brought from a training standpoint, from a knowledge standpoint, I was asking them to run the 100K challenge. And these were all traders I had seen have very good success in the past and do very, very well in the past. And they struggled. They struggled. And, I remember talking to them about it, why, and brainstorming some of the different ideas, maybe why and what was going on and all of that, that they struggled. And I said, okay, it is what it is. And, we'll go from there and move forward. But at that point, I couldn't sink the amount of money that I was sinking into it and sustain it overall. So I said, you know what? This is a challenge. The only person who's ever done the challenge successfully that I have seen is me. I'm the only one that I've ever seen go 3K to 100K with this mentality and make it happen. So I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it happen. And, had that kind of 2016 year, and, the end of that year had a challenge that did fairly well. And then 2017 came, and, I had a challenge that was 2 trades. One of the trades was Home Depot, and I forget what the other one is. It's not coming to my head right now. But 2 trades, went to zero in 2 trades. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, you know what, Jeff, it's time. Time to go. Time to leave. Time to be done with this. Time to quit. Enough is enough. We had a decent run, and you know what? It's time to move on out. This is not fun. This is becoming all right, Jeff, let's wake up. Let's turn on chat. And, hey, Jeff, where do you think this stock goes in the next hour, right? That's what it had kind of become. And I said, no. Not for me. I had seen traders, one very infamous trader, John Paulson. I'd seen them go from hero to zero. Meredith Whitney, hero to zero, right? They did something. They made a decision. For instance, John Paulson made a decision on the financial collapse in 2007, was wrong for a little while, was very patient, and ultimately paid off, and was a genius for it. And then 2 years later, he used the same strategy on Bank of America, Citigroup, and gold, and he was patient on it. It didn't pay off. Now his fund collapsed. He was an absolute idiot. It was the same exact strategy, the same exact thing, yet one worked, one didn't, and, from hero to villain. And I said, you know what, I don't want to go through this. I'll just trade on my own and be done. And I remember getting on the phone with several of you. In fact, some of you probably some of you are out there listening right now. Just kind of talking about this idea, talking about this concept. And I remember kind of coming back from it and saying, you know what, there's some really good people on here that deserve to have some success. I know that I can bring that. And so, you know what, I'm going to keep on going. But I'm going to keep on going with a little bit of a different idea in mind. Where before the idea was, okay, you know what, let's take this 3K to 100K challenge. Let me turn it over to another trader, ultimately to run, or a group of traders to run. Instead of going down that route, let's see if we can automate this. Let's see if we can take this and say, hey, you know what? What is successful over time in the market? It doesn't always work, right? Algorithms and automation doesn't always work, but it is more consistent from a trading standpoint than human beings. Now, I'm not talking from an investing standpoint. I'm talking about a short-term trading standpoint. And so can we turn this in and say, you know what, let's take this challenge concept and let's automate it. And there were a ton of challenges with it, right? It's one thing to automate stock trading. It's a whole nother thing to add options to it, to add exit parameters to it, to add, all the other elements, the challenge concept to it. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I said, you know what, let's go do it. We'll make this happen. And was thwarted in the first several tests and first several concepts that I looked at. And, kept on going. And that's kind of where things like TM signals came from with the KD signals and the Trend Rider signals, which, worked fantastically. We had a good track record with it all. And ultimately stopped doing it for the cost of it. I just said, it wasn't something that was marketing and all of that. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to continue to pay the cost of that. I'll watch them for myself, and I have it in the background all the time. I see what Trend Rider and KD signals come in. But, Market Vibe automated that so that, it wasn't, hey, Jeff, what do you think about the market right here, right now? Well, no, here we go. This is what the metrics that I use look like, right? And I knew the challenge would have to have my concepts in them, my ideas, the way I look at things in them, and be able to do it without, necessarily a ton of my input. And it's been a long time coming. And, after the last challenge, I looked, I said, Matt, it's not ready yet. It's just the automated challenge isn't ready yet. I still haven't flushed out a few things. Have the algorithm for the trade entries, have the algorithm for the trade exits. That's easy, that's done. It's the options, how to apply the options, how to deal with certain elements that come in, survivability, and I had theories and ideas. And so I said, you know what, instead of starting a brand new challenge right here, you know what, I'm going to go out to do this kind of last test here with the community and see how it goes. I don't know how long it's going to take. I may get what I need, after the first couple trades, which ultimately is what I got. Let's see if I could do that. Then we could next challenge, launch it as this algorithm automated challenge. And while I did the community test, I had some other tests going on in the background with different things just to kind of, shore up and to verify some of the stuff. But, it had been multiple years of testing and working it on out. And on Thursday, going to take it live. This is the first time taking it live with other people following along. I have traded these trades live money. I've added some of these trades here and there to challenges in the past, but of executing it 100% live money with other people following, this is the first time. Okay, this is the first time. It's not the first time where I've traded it live money and all of that. That's been done. I've traded out these signals live money many, many times. And still to this date, some of the trades I'm in are based on some of these signals. But the idea here is very simple. The idea here is to take the human out. Why is that important? Well, humans are fraught with contradictions, and the market itself is fraught with a million contradictions. You go out and you get into a trade, and the trade starts to go your way, and you're in an option trade and you're up 40% on it. You're looking at it, you're staring at it, and you're going, do I get out or do I hold it? Right? And you decide to hold it. And what happens? The next day, something happens that you had no control of, no sign of, and now your green goes to red. And what do you think? You think, man, next time I have 40% gain, I'm just taking it. Right? I'm just taking it. Not worth going from green to red. So you go out and make another trade, you're up 40%, and boom, you remember that trade, and you go, I'm taking it, and you're all happy, you took it, you're out. And then you can't help yourself, you watch the stock over the next 4 days, and that stock just absolutely surges, and your option would have been up 300%. And you go, man, why wasn't I patient? Two trades. Two different decisions. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? That's what option trading is. Option trading, you go turn on the TV, you have all these wisdoms out there, and they all contradict each other, right? From be patient to take things off quickly. They're just a million different things. Buy something that's overbought. No, short things that are overbought. And in hindsight, it's always right. It's always easy to know which wisdom you should have applied. But in real time, if you're applying all the different wisdoms, you're not doing anything. Ultimately, you're not making any trade. Ultimately, you make one, you don't know what to do, right? And so that human element has to be taken out of this, of this algorithm. And ultimately, could I do it and just kind of, do it and say, hey, you know what, these are my trades, and go and never share this element? Yeah. And that was something that, as I talked to Jason, as I talked with several other people who have been involved in this process with me, it's what they suggested. They said, Jeff, you know what? Forget showing all of this. Just go trade it. Just go execute it. And, talk about it as yours. Because ultimately it is, right? I mean, ultimately this is mine. I said, no. I said, I can't do that. Since Trader Minute has started, it's been 100% transparent. And, I need to continue that. I owe that to the community to be, 100% transparent. And I know sometimes transparency gets me in trouble, and that's fine. I'm more than okay with that. I'd rather have that than, be hiding anything here with it. So ultimately, this is it. What's the goal of this? The goal of this is to add a consistent 100K challenge element to the website, to Trader Minute, that traders can get involved with, that traders can run with, and that is something that doesn't burn any individual trader out. It has to have results, though. And the way this has been built and this has been tested and the way that this has been, kind of used, this is what I expect. I expect, based on all the tests, based on all the trades in the past, that 3 out of 10 challenges will go to 0. 3 out of 10 will go to 0. That element, that risk of going from 3,000 to 0 is not gone. There's no way to automate that out. Not with using options. If we use stocks, sure, but then we take away the entire upside, and what's the point? But about 30% chance of a challenge going to 0. 4 out of 10 times, a challenge is going to be just, okay. where it ends somewhere between 3,000 and 15,000. Just kind of in that, meh. All right, we had a few decent, few didn't work. Okay. So 4 out of 10, 40%, somewhere in that area. And then 30% have that potential to where there's a legit shot of this challenge really running to 100K. It doesn't mean it will, right? Because getting from 60 to 100K, those last couple trades, they have to hit to really get there. But about 30% of the challenges have a very legit shot of hitting 100K. Ultimately, it's a very profitable model in terms of, what happens, in terms of, how those break down. But it's not a model that's going to hit 100K every time. And that's not what was attempted to be created here, because that is not something that I think has any sort of feasibility. So the way this works, challenge starts with $3,000. Just like every other challenge starts at $3,000. Algorithm signals, bullish or bearish, on the watch list stocks. They come in at 10:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Eastern time every day. All entries and exits are going to be made at these two times. Okay, this is when the trade is assessed. It's not assessed in the middle here. It's not assessed right at the market open. It's not, the market's going to open. What do we do? No, not even going to be assessed till an hour after. Okay. These are the times where that will happen. These have been, through all the testing, the two best times. The two best times where, the option prices kind of sag a little bit, where, some of the volatility comes out. The morning's going to be more volatile typically than the afternoon. But trade allocation will be 40% per signal, dropping to 30% after $3,000 worth of gain. So very simple, trade allocation there. No automated or pre-programmed stops will be used. Occasionally, pre-programmed exits will be used for profit taking. What do I mean by that? Well, we have something going on, earnings or something of that nature happening with the stock, right? And there's a big move our way. There's room to add a profit-taking exit, okay? But that's not going to happen very often. All options chosen are 30 to 60 days till expiration. This, to me, is one that is going to be a dynamic change from what has been over the last year and a half. And as I went and I looked at all the challenge data over time, it was very apparent that as time went by, my time period on options was getting shorter and shorter and shorter. The most successful challenges that we've ever done, they've used the options in this 30 to 60 day period. And that's what we're using. Number one, because it allows sustainability. We can have 3 to 4 trades not work in a row, and fine, no problem. The challenge is still alive and well and can carry on forward. In the shorter term options, that's just not the case. All exits are going to be based on this ATR method over here. There's a video link here, and I will add this spreadsheet here to the chat so you can access it. There's a video link talking about this. I did make a tweak here to it from the last challenge test. Okay, made a small tweak. That tweak is 3 days without triggering step 1 or 2 equals an exit if the option is red. But if it's green, that goes out to 5 days. Just allows to hold some green a little bit longer, be a little bit more patient there with it, and that's all. Okay. All trade entries and exits will be sent out in real time via Twitter, email, and text. So the same old Traderman alerts that have always gone out, they will continue to go out. But things will also be tracked here on this spreadsheet. You'll be able to come into the spreadsheet. You'll be able to see things. You'll be able to see how it's all broken down, and be able to access it here as well. But in real time, they will go out as far as alerts. Multiple trade entries. So let's say we have 3 trade entries. We only have the cash to get into 2. Multiple trade entries are going to be sorted out based on these 3 sorting methods: the sevens, ties, and liquidity. And here's a video discussion on those sorting methods. So very simple. with that. New trades are not entered unless cash is available. Current trades are not exited to accommodate new triggers, right? So if we're already running with something and a new trigger comes in, not going to exit what we're in to, get into the new one. And while all trade entries and exits follow the algorithm, Jeff can step in under unusual circumstances and change a trade. What do I mean? Well, this morning, not exactly unusual circumstances. Market gap down 2%. This morning would not be one of those situations where I would step in. But on situations where we have, just something crazy happen with the stock, where maybe the company gets bought out, or maybe there's a huge kind of crash in the market, where there's just something so unusual and creating such a big price change that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to run it with the ATR method from there. Okay, that is where I will step in. That is where I will, adjust something and say, what, our trade just went from $3,000 to 20 grand. Running with it, 20 grand with the ATR method, given the fact that it just got bought out, there's no real upside left, and all there is downside. Okay, time to take. I can step in. I do have that room to step in here and take things in very unusual circumstances and change a trade. Now the watch list, the trading watch list is limited. Now this is a little bit more expansive than the watch list that was used in the last test. But all of these stocks have been in prior tests. New ones added: Chipotle Mexican Grill, Triple D, Twilio, Whirlpool, Vulcan Materials, Alcoa, Arconic, EOG Resources, which is an oil, Amazon, which Amazon is probably not going to be very tradable right at the beginning because of the option cost. But as the challenge goes, it won't be a problem. CSX and Verizon have all been added here to the watch list. Okay, I'm expecting 3 to 6 triggers a week based on this watch list. Okay, some weeks will be more, some weeks will be less. But one thing to keep in mind about algorithmic trading, there's a big tendency in the quant world, right? When you talk about algorithms, there's this term quant trading, right? And that's kind of what this is. This is kind of a quant system. When you're talking about quant trading, there's a generality. When markets are flat, quants struggle. When markets trend, quants do very well. Now, not always. But the algorithm for this challenge is built primarily to find trend. It's not built to trade oscillation where, the stock moves up and it moves down and it moves up and it moves down and consolidates over the course of a year. That's not what this algorithm is meant to find. This algorithm is meant to find trend. Dynamic trend. Trends that have a good possibility of really taking off and going either in a big way up or a big way down. It's not going to find all trends. In fact, in some cases, it's not going to find the right direction. It'll find that, hey, there's a trend, but it won't necessarily find the right direction. But the algorithm is solely based or very tilted towards finding trend, because when we go and apply options in a 100K challenge format to a trend signal, that's where we get the magic. That's where we get the really nice moves. That's where we get the the really nice action in the market. This is not something where, I'm going to go buy Apple. Let's go stare at it. It just went up 50 cents. Now what? It just went down 50 cents. Now what? The algorithm in this ATR method, it's built to take away some of that just typical stock oscillation that just doesn't mean anything. Just doesn't mean anything. This is how I will approach the next challenge. This is how I will approach the challenge after that. And this is how I will approach the challenge after that. I'm not going to talk about the challenge trades in terms of adding an opinion on it, meaning going, here it had a trigger. Okay, I really like this one, so I'm going to trade this one. No, my opinions don't matter. They don't matter when it comes down to it. Now, will I jump on and talk about the market and talk about different things going on and different trades and different elements happening? Will I talk about, some of the positives of a trigger or where, the dynamics of the trade are? Absolutely. I will definitely talk about all those. And ultimately, I would love, and I don't know if we can get there, but I would love for the algorithm to be something I could compete with. To where, I say, all right, you know what? All right, the algorithm's doing really well. All right, let's see if I can go do better. Let's see. And maybe make the algorithm kind of the base here at Trader Minute and have some community challenges and some Jeff challenges to see if they can outdo the algorithm. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But ultimately, those of you that hear my voice, many of you have been here for a long time. Many of you are here because you want that 100K. You want that carrot at the end. And I do too. And I owe it to you to get there. And I will get there. And, for me, this has been an evolution. And it is something that from my perspective and the way that I look at things, this is the best way to get there. This is the best way to make that happen right here and right now. And for me to kind of allow some of the humanity of trading, to come on out. Because it exists in my challenge trades, it doesn't really exist in my personal trades, and there's a huge difference there. Not one that I can explain very well. I've had a lot of theories, a lot of people give me ideas, but ultimately in time maybe we see. But really looking forward to kicking this off. We'll do it here on Thursday morning, and we'll go out and trade the first signal that hits the board. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for being with us here at Trader Minute. Wish you all the success in the world. And we'll talk to you later. Take care.